Okay, so we're going to talk about some products. So the first one is called Safe Racks. It's saferacks.com, and we'll put the URL up on the screen. This is an industrial steel rack that is designed to hang from the roof in your garage to create storage space. And they come in 11 different sizes. And they're 4x8. The 4x8 unit, which is probably the biggest one, holds 600 pounds. So you can basically attach some steel to your ceiling in your garage and put 600 pounds of stuff up there and make things get off the floor in your garage so you can actually put your car in the garage, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't this be amazing? And I think that their pitch is partially get your garage back, don't go to a storage unit, put these things up in the ceiling. Now there's a million products out there to organize garages, but this one, they were at the show, and can you see them, you guys?
Mm-hmm.
How much?
I am not the salesman, so I don't know the pricing.
Oh.
Oh, come back.
Time's up.
Come out. So see, they're just hanging from the ceiling over the door, and stack a whole bunch of units in there, and you have a very cool product. So this is the least sophisticated, least moving parts unit, and it's definitely designed for. Look at that. There's two of them hanging. So there's like 2 layers of it. Isn't that amazing?
So is that just a renamed industrial product that's been available for warehouses forever?
Have no clue. I do not know the answer to that question at all. That was not part of their pitch. They have installers in Houston, and they also have them all over the country. And it was a relatively inexpensive option compared to some of the other, like you can have some super fancy build out with cabinets or floor to ceiling, whatever, and say $4 grand, $2 grand, something like that. This was a least expensive because it's some grids and a shelf, right? So it's a better solution for down and dirty, quick and easy, and it's sturdy and holds up for the weight. Because the first thing that people go buy is they go to Home Depot and they buy the plastic, inexpensive, build-it-yourself shelving units, and they sit them outside, and then they load them up with car parts, and then they wonder why the plastic starts to sag in the middle, right? Like that is the cheap version, but you get what you pay for. So this is a solution that can actually hold the weight, and I think that's the biggest thing that people misjudge in the garage. They take sort of lightweight household duty stuff and put it in the garage and wonder why it all collapses on itself. Okay, what's the next one?
What's the cost for the 4x8?
I do not know the cost. I'm sorry. You have to Google it.
Watch the video, the URL.
Right, we'll tell you about it. Okay, so the next one is Smart Box Portable Moving and Storage. And I have a little, let's see. Here, I'm going to pass this around. That's the rack guy. And then we're going to move to Smart Box. So you guys have heard of pods, and what's the other one besides pods? The portable boxes they put on the driveway, right?
Yes.
So this is a version that is a slightly smaller box. So if you can see the little picture of the truck down there in the bottom, there's 6 boxes lined up on that bed. So basically the box is a size, let me get the dimensions. It's 5 feet wide, 8 feet long, and 7 feet tall. And the box basically holds a room or a room and a half. So you get as many boxes as you have rooms. And it's not one big container. Their claim to fame is it's not one great big container and all your stuff is sitting in it and bouncing all around. It's a smaller, more compact container. You only have to get as many containers as you need, as you have room. And then they all get picked up on the truck and driven off to your new location, to the storage unit, whatever. They work exactly the same. They come and sit them on the ground, deliver them, and you can walk in with the stuff that you're putting in there, and then close them and lock them, and they pick them and put them back on the truck and drive away. This is a picture of 6, but apparently they take 7 at a time. Because there's the little forklifty thing that picks the boxes up, can be attached to the truck with a box on it, he told me. So they can really take 7, so 7 rooms of a house. And if it's a room and a half, maybe, 10 rooms of a house. And you can load it all up 1 box at a time and have them taken away. They drop them off. You load it as fast as you want. I'm sure there's rent involved. I didn't ask about that. The usual standard is they drop it off and then you start paying rent for the boxes. And then off they go, which is a really great way to move if you're trying to move yourself. if you're trying to move at, you're working during the day and you got to come home and pack at night for a month to get your house packed, here's a little box and you can put stuff in. But the great thing is, if you only need one room's worth because you're renovating the kitchen and you got to put the stuff in the box, you got to get everything out of the kitchen or everything out of the living room because they're going to tear out a room or something. All those contents can go in a box and sit on your driveway during reno. And you don't have a huge box, you have a room-sized box, which is a better solution. So it's a little more flexible, I think, than the competitors' products. They were very nice, of course. And here is their little people with box heads. I thought that was a cute graphic. So I'm going to pass that around. That one was fun.
Did you move a house that way? Like
Yeah.
To another state? I mean, just
Yeah, they move across the country or around the
That would be
city.
really convenient.
It's very handy, right? And if there's 7 of them and each of them holds a room or a room and a half, then you're really getting up to a pretty big house. And if you have to have 20 of them, then I guess they send 2 trucks. But I think it's a good solution, and particularly because it's a smaller option for store in place. I saw after the hurricane went through a few years ago, when Ike went through and so many people had so much damage and they had to empty parts of their houses, there were a lot of pods sitting around people's driveways, right? And I went in a couple of times I was helping people unpack, and they weren't full, right? They had rented this huge box that was appropriate for moving a house, but they didn't have that much in there, but they were paying rent for the huge box. But I'm guessing if you're paying for a room-sized box, it'll be more cost-effective for you. Anyway, like them a lot. Sure.
Safe Racks has prices on their website. The 4x8 heavy duty storage rack, 600 pounds. Normally $425, but online or whatever, special price $165.
Well, there you go.
I guess that's plus installation.
Plus installation, probably, yeah.
That's really
$1 pound.
Well, and if there's only 4 things to screw on the ceiling, it can't be that hard to install it, right? They just have to go and they're done. It didn't sound like it was a very complicated installation process because they're not building a whole bunch of parts together to get the rack. Anyway, it's a good option. Better than plastic shelves. Okay, so the next thing is, this is really funny. So this is called Clever Container. clevercontainer.com. So you guys, the girls in the room, you have bought Mary Kay, right? Or Avon. Sometime in your life you were a distributor or knew a friend who is a distributor. This is the organizing product version of that. So instead of selling, tchotchkes at the home decor hosted event in your house, you can sell organizing products. But if you don't want to be a host, you can actually go to the website and buy from the corporate. So this was started by an organizer and a stay-at-home mom, and they are putting out cool products, clever containers, for your organizing needs. And I just thought it was interesting that you want to make money and you don't want to sell makeup. Here's the option for you. Good one.
If you're a host, do you have to be organized?
No, I think that's the point, actually.
Would that be a selling point? Or,
I think you
or
don't have to be
again,
organized at all, right?
Free gift for hosting.
Right, you do. It's on the website. You get free gifts for hosting.
You probably only have to be organized enough to be willing to let people come in your house.
Or maybe you'd be a host, but you have meet at a friend's house.
Right? There's that. Yeah. Anyway, I thought it was a clever way, and because it's being vetted by an organizer, the products inside are really interesting. They're good ones that I like a lot. So the next one is Scan Snap. Where's the? So this is there's a scanner company, right? So this is what we got as the handout, which I thought was wonderful. There's a little URL thing to scan on the back to take you to the website, but basically. ScanSnap is a little bitty scanner product, the unit that you can buy one for your laptop your desktop that sits on the desk. There's a portable one that you can take with you anywhere, and it can talk to the telephone and all sorts of stuff, so you can scan like mad. But the interesting, and this has been around for a while, so this was not news to me, but what was news to me was this one on the left, and I'll pass this around for you to see it. If you remember the old overhead projectors that you used to have in school, with the box and then the arm like that. It looks kind of like that, but it's basically a no contact scanner. So the arm is designed to scan below so you can scan magazines and books without destroying them. Because you don't feed a page through, you just lay it down there and then it goes and scans it. And here's the clever part, it corrects for the bend in the spine of the pages. So if you know when you Xerox it and you try to smash it down and you can't get it flat and it goes right, it connects for that in the scanning process, which I thought was fascinating. Now this product is $1,000, so I'm not sure that it's applicable for home use, but I thought it was really interesting that they've adapted what looks to me like an overhead projector to scan books, and I can see that that would be a great, there would be lots of commercial application for that in schools and in offices, and I thought that was fascinating. So passing that around.
There's a free one of those you can use at the University of Houston Main Library.
One of those time to scan the books?
Well, it's actually a bigger thing.
I'm sure
and
it's
it
a
can
bigger
do
one.
really large things. It's all free, and you open the book and it does the correction for the spine.
I just think that's
and
fascinating.
it builds it into a PDF, and you
Yeah,
spit out
yeah.
one PDF at the end. It's free.
And the little portable one, you can scan stuff, and then it sends the document to your cell phone. And she just sat there at the desk, and she was like, "Oh yeah, here, let me hook it up to my phone. Blah blah blah. Scan. Oh look, here they are." I mean, it was super fast. It was really amazing.
Well, and it OCRs too, right? So
Yes,
the
I think so.
PDFs are all searchable. So you
Yeah, it was
can
really-
put piles of receipts and still find the receipts in this
Yeah,
whole
yeah.
set of PDFs.
And dealing and managing with those documents on the back end is like a whole separate discussion. But the technology is super cool, right? And the portable one is really strong and powerful, and which you would think it'd be it wouldn't be strong enough. But over time, it's been around for a little while, and it's really evolved to a very robust product now.
The weird thing that's missing is there's like copy shops, but there's no shop where you can go and take a pile of documents and come back with a PDF scan. There's nobody.
Is that your new business venture?
I mean, I knew it was not like 5 years ago, but I got.
Maybe you should start one, right?
Why does nobody do that? Is it like?
I have no clue.
But that would so help organizing, because everybody has big stacks of documents, but you don't want to buy the $1,000 thing. You just want to use
Well,
one
right.
for
Well,
$10
and you know,
now.
the desktops and the portable ones are not that much money.
Yeah.
It's the big one that's $1,000. But
But still,
anyway.
you can have a commercial one. I
Right.
just don't understand why the copy shops don't have something.
well,
that
you're the
generates
tech
it.
guru, man. Make it happen.
Or buy the
They're
401
not idiots. I presume there's some reason they don't.
Well, yeah, I don't know the answer. Okay, so here's the next one. This is called upperslide.com. These are upper slide cabinet organizers. So if you imagine the cabinets in your kitchen that are above instead of below, they make all those roll out cabinets for the below cabinets, right? But this guy, his wife was annoyed that she couldn't get into the cabinets above. And so he built slide out cabinets for those standard units that are basically, 12, 15 inches deep, with an opening about that wide for the one cabinet door, and they take 2 screws to screw them into the cabinet, and then out it slides. And so he made all different kinds for plasticware. This one's for coffee. There's a spice one. Where's the spice one? Oh, it's on. Oh, here it's on the back. There's a little spice rack, and so. The 2 things that he did was he built them for the standard cabinet sizes overhead. They're very small, so that you can pull them out and see into them. And then the second thing that he did was he created an under mount drawer. So you can take a cabinet that's existing and you can mount a drawer up underneath the upper cabinet. And then it'll slide out, which I thought was really clever. And you could go and take that same unit and slap it into your pantry. So you can basically put a drawer into the shelf in your pantry. And I spent all my time in pantries, which are basically a closet with some flat surfaces, trying to make units to hold stuff and manage stuff in the pantry, which is why all the containers go in there. But how great to put a drawer into it so I can pull things on and off as if there was a cabinet in there. It's really great. It was very clever. There's a surface mounted. Here's a little box. He calls the chef tools box. It's basically a little thing this tall with 3 drawers in it, made out of wood instead of plastic. So it looks nice. And there was under the cabinet, and then there's another place too. Let me think about where he said. There's one more place that it attached. I can't, it's underneath somehow. Well, anyway, the other thing was you could do the 2 screws, but if you don't feel even that handy, there's a Velcro attachment kit. So you can basically put 3 strips of Velcro under it and put it down, and it stuck. Like he had one attached with Velcro, and we were pushing on it, and it didn't come off. So, I mean, for a little spice thing that's, you know, the square's about that big, sitting on the shelf, pulling out with racks in it, the Velcro would be sufficient. And so even a non-handy tool person like myself could use the Velcro and attach it. So it's easy installation for anybody. So this one was worth going to and looking at their website so you can see the products more closely. And, you know, it'd be easy for you to invest a little bit of money, and they're not super expensive, and, you know, add a spice drawer and see how you like it. And you wouldn't even have to, you know, call your husband to put it in. No screws required if you don't want to.
And you say the pantry one, is it big or?
No. I think that they're about that big. So you could put, you could put rows of them. You could put one on each shelf, you know. And the freestanding one that has the tools in it could sit in the pantry as well as on the counter. And the one that mounts underneath could mount underneath the pantry shelf instead of sitting on top.
How deep is the underneath?
They were cool. Please don't, hold me to that exact measurement. But it's basically it looks just like a drawer that you would find in the kitchen, only hanging or sitting or hanging underneath or sitting on top instead of pulling out of the cabinet face.
Or people with ladders or something, pulling it out like I still can.
Yeah, is the idea you eye level is still above?
Well, I mean, the ones that are on the ceiling, I can't help you. But there are a lot of drawers, even if they're up at this level, if you pull them out, you can then see the contents around that shelf. Because you're talking about a square that's, that big, a foot by foot-ish. So it's a small surface. Inside the cabinet, you can't get all the way back in there or see everything really well. But if you pull it out, even if it's at this level, and most cabinets at the kitchen start somewhere below your head and go above, right? And then, one of the displays is a pull-out drawer that has all the Keurig pods in them, right? And hanging up underneath the shelf above the coffee pot. What a great idea, right?
Well,
That'd be really awesome.
This large pantry one says it's 16 1/4 wide by 17 deep.
That's for the deep one. That's for the deep cabinets, yeah. Yeah, because some of the cabinets in the kitchen overhead are short, but occasionally you'll get bigger cabinets as well. So he has designed them to the standard cabinet sizes. We don't all get big cabinets on top. Or else we get them in the corner, like it'll be shallow and then you'll hit a corner and there'll be a deep one in there. Anyway.
So it's like an updated Lazy Susan or fancier
That's
Lazy
a good way,
Susan.
the fancier Lazy Susan, yeah.
Because
No spinning involved.
Are great for the corner cabinet.
Yeah, but they don't come out, so you can
Yeah.
spin and see what's in front of you. But this gives you the option of pulling it out farther, which I think is helpful.
Can you use it in a refrigerator? I was just thinking I need a Lazy Susan in my refrigerator because I don't see what's in the back.
I use Lazy Susans in my fridge actually.
Do you?
I do. Just the plastic kind that you get and put in the pantry. I had condiments on it. So the mayonnaise and the mustard and the hot mustard and the pickles and the relish and the yada yada yada, and I'm just spinning those around. The other thing is, because it's a closed box and shallow, they make refrigerator containers that are long and narrow. So that there's, you can line up long skinny ones inside those shelving units. And then, there's always those jars in there like, here's the chocolate sauce and here's the super hot sauce that never comes out of my refrigerator, and here's the the stuff that you use once in a while, right? And those are in a long clear plastic container in a row, and they slide down the side of the refrigerator and go towards the back, and then if I need something I pull it out and look at it. Lots of people are adding those in for that reason, because if it sort of migrates to the back of the fridge, never to be seen again, right? It disappears. So yeah, and Lazy Susans are great for that. They don't just have to be in the cabinet.
Unfortunately, you lose a lot of space. I mean, because you're starting with a square and then you put a circle in it, and so
You do lose some space, but I think that
corners.
you can put things in the corners or not. You can use what you can see. I mean, it's all well and good to fill it all up, but if you can't see it and it just dies back there, what's the point? You might, rather have some air in the fridge and be able to find what you want, right? It is a trade-off that you make with Lazy Susans, but it also makes everything on the Lazy Susan accessible where it wasn't before. That's what you're buying, right, with the Lazy Susan trade-off. And they make them, you can go to Target and get them, and they're basically 12 inches, which is perfect for in the fridge. They make them bigger, but then that's really, then you're challenging your drawer, your depth of your refrigerator. But the ones that are really that big, foot across, you can have those on a couple shelves and have stuff in them for sure. Okay, so here's my favorite one for the day. These are called zippered cable ties from Neat Products. And I now have to undo it because I did it first. This is the tiny one. It's 8 inches. It's designed for your headphones. It's actually a zipper. Ta-da! And there's a little hole in the back down here. You thread the little things through, right? And you put them up there. You zipper it closed. Zip, zip, zip. Right? And then you can wind these up. I have to unwind them so I can wind them.
So when you're using it, it's unzipped? Is that
You don't, if you want to wear this on your, I would think you'd want
Otherwise
to take it
it's
out.
on,
Yeah,
right?
you
Right.
don't want to do that. Well, you could, I suppose, but, so then you do that, and you just fold and twist, because it has wire inside. Da-da-da-da. And it's captured, right? Isn't that awesome? So this is for your headphones, and then they make a version that is longer than that. This is the big one that is 48 inches, and so it's a little bit bigger. And it's for all your TV and AV cables, right? So they show you a picture with everything coming out and plugged. Now what's cool about this is, forgive the person who's going to win this in a raffle, I have to open it. Da, 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 da. Also a zipper. But what's really clever about it is, see the holes?
So they can come out.
So they can come out from, or in from wherever they need to. And then there's little elastic things to capture them on the way by. And it's really big enough to hold a whole bunch of cables in one. So you do the same thing, you start at the end, and as when you have all those units, they're all coming from different directions, so you let them come in wherever they need to come in, and then zip them all up, zip, 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 and they're done. And you can bend it, it also has the wire in it, so you can bend it to go wherever you want it to go. Now you wouldn't, necessarily do all this, right? Because, but a lot of times the cables are much longer, right, than the distance that you're trying to cover. So this is a way to capture it, and then you can sort of go kink, 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 and shorten up the cables and still keep them in control, which I thought was really, really clever. So there's a 36-inch version of this as well that's designed for your device cords, the laptop, the iPad, the telephone. And you can strip all those together. And then the one thing that they didn't have that at the show.
And what's the website for that one?
Neatproducts.com. So those are the cable organizers. They also have a notebook and a tablet sleeve, which is the neoprene with all the great. So here's where your tablet goes, and then they also have pockets and everything on the other side, which are to hold everything else. But they've also come up with, and I wish I had one, they're not in production yet, which is why you have to go onto their website and join their Kickstarter campaign, because I want this bag. So it's a computer bag, laptop bag, that it looks like any other laptop bag with the handles and stuff. And it also has the strap on the back, that's the full flap on the back, so you can slide it over the arm of your luggage. But when you open it up, there's a place for the laptop, but then there's also places for everything else. And once it gets beyond an inch, it expands. So it actually it comes open to twice its width. So if you have a whole bunch of devices, you can just keep adding stuff in there, and it just gets bigger. It has cushioning on the bottom for the average, you sit it down in a hurry, whack, whack, and you're whacking your devices all the time. But they've added padding in the bottom so it can survive that kind of stuff. And there's all sorts of pockets inside this thing for devices and all things that go with devices, and your passport and whatever else you want to shove in there. And it goes from an inch wide to like 2 inches wide. It doubles. And it just goes whoop, it expands. And it was like, oh. Then they also have they have the arm strap. And the arm strap basically is lined with something like this. So you can put all your cables for the laptop in the handle and zip it closed. So it keeps those from getting tangled up in your bags too, right? Which I thought was just brilliant. So they need, to be funded. So go work on their Kickstarter, baby. They're trying to raise I looked at it today. They're like $4,000 into $12,000. And if you go and buy, then you get you're basically putting your $35 in, and you're going to get the laptop bag for $35 instead of the retail price is going to be $60. So totally worth it. They have a few colors. I was very happy. They're not just black. You can also get blue and red, I think.
What color did you get?
Blue. I got blue. And it's kind of I guess it's kind of that color, or maybe more of that color, her shirt. A little darker. Anyway, I'm waiting patiently for my bag to, come into being. Blah, so I can have it.
And the URL is what?
Neatproducts.com. And then they reference the Kickstarter page somewhere on the website. They were really clever, and I love that it has such great, it has such really strong, the wire in here is thick and it holds on. So when you wrap around stuff, when you do the 36-inch one to wrap around your computer cables, it also bends, twists, and it's under control. And if it's in its own little sleeve, it can't get all snarled up on itself, right? Like that's the first thing that happens when you have to roll up the cords and put them in the bag. They disappear in the bag and they, mate with themselves and they come out a snarl. And some people have the patience for that and others do not. So this is a way that you don't have to have patience for it. It just solves the problem. Okay? So that is my quick overview of the conference. Woohoo! We're good on time, right?
Yes.
Okay, so who has questions today? And it can be organizing related, if not product related.
There, I don't know, someone sent it to me, and I think it's a Japanese video using binder clips. And one of them was like with the earbuds and stuff, and it shows how to wrap them or putting the large binder clips, say on the edge of your computer desk, and then you
and thread them through, yeah.
Right, and how to take it apart if it won't fit through there, and then like the plug, for instance, won't fit through there, but if you take it apart, then put it in, and put it back in, so that you've got all of your plugs there
hanging on the.
Yeah. I mean, it's like 12, 15 different things you go, like how to set it up. Say if you don't have a back thing like you do on your.
Unclip it. The only thing that makes me nervous about binder clips and cables is, if you constantly pinch the cables, like trying to shove them into the little triangle.
It's in like the aluminum.
Through here. Oh, right. So you just mean hanging it through the ends.
There,
okay,
yeah.
Okay. Yes. People do try to use binders to hold their cables and then wonder how come their cable is destroyed. But putting them through this would be fine. Yes, you're right about that.
So it organizes things. But
it does and holds them in place.
Much,
Well, and I guess people have a lot of trouble with, they plug it in and then when they unplug the device, it falls down behind the couch or it falls under the desk or whatever, and what do you do, right? And so that's the solution. There is also another solution. It's called Mod. It's a little triangular thing, and they're selling them at Smead Products now. It's a little sort of fat, puffy looking triangle that's basically a magnet. And it magnets onto something, and then you can put your cables up to it and it will attach. So if you have that magnet on the side of your desk somewhere, then you can put the cables on it and they just attach to them. And the binder clip is a good way to, if there's not enough magnet in the cable head, not enough metal to attach, you can put it through the binder and then the binder will stick to the mod and it'll hang there. I have that actually next to my couch, next to my stand, because I'm always plugging in next to the couch, and so it's a way I can just slap it on there and it's gone.
But the desk or whatever has to be metal.
Yes,
Yes.
or it could be on something else.
Yeah, and so like.
You'd have to
the binders,
strategically
you
place.
have wooden, and
Yeah.
you have the
Absolutely,
metal.
it would work. I've seen those. Who else has a question? Are y'all all organized today? That's awesome. I appreciate you indulging me on letting me talk my way through the conference. It's so much fun, and the video that we put on the picture that we put on the meetup. No, was it on the meetup?
Yeah.
So the picture of the lady with the beach ball was during I posted that video on the Facebook page because as part of the break in the State of the Union address, they talk about the NAPO Association, and they take a break in the middle, and they started throwing beach balls around, and they played the happy music in the background, and we were all banging beach balls up and down in this conference center all over the place. It was very fun. We had a good time, so I had 10 seconds of beach ball madness from the conference.
Girls gone wild.
Yeah, girls gone wild, yeah.
Organizers gone wild.
Organizers gone crazy,
what
right?
workshops did you attend?
Let's see. I talked to this was one of them actually. I need to show you this. That's why it's in your handouts. This is the Crusher TV. This gentleman is a really interesting guy. This was his second time at the conference. Thank you for reminding me. He's an ADHD person, and he went undiagnosed for a long time, and he went through his early part of his adulthood while his life sort of spiraled out of control, and then somebody diagnosed him, and he was like, oh, that's what my problem is. And so he sort of went on a quest to come up with life hacks that would work for ADHD people. And so his mission in life now is to help people with ADHD, and the crushertv.com, every week he puts on a show and talks to various experts, talks to people, presents life hacks. So he's a great resource for ADHD people, and he's kind of funny. He's from Brooklyn, so he has a funny accent a little bit, and he's, and there's a little fist, see the little fist, that's Crusher TV, so he just, it's very him. But this is a card of how to get started again when you feel stuck. So one of the things that he asks is, I can't decide on a task. Is there a problem here now, right this minute? If the gods of doing things only allow me to do two things today, what would they be? What's due in 3 hours versus 3 days or 3 months? If I can't distinguish between them, can I accept that they are all equal? So it's ways for you to question yourself and help you choose priorities. And for ADHD people, it's like they're all priorities, right? And he's trying to give you some ways to question yourself.
On the website, it doesn't mention ADD at all. It's like productivity, and you feel overwhelmed. Is that the
he's trying.
marketing message?
He's appealing to a broader audience. But yes, they are productivity life hacks, and they're born out of his desire to help people with ADHD cope. Because those brains work different, and none of the things that he suggests won't work for other people as well. They're just very good for people that are having trouble, struggling, stuck, right?
But he kind of dilutes his marketing message because there's so
Well,
many productivity sites and all.
You can tell him that.
I may.
This
I'll put it
is
on my list to do.
the one thing that he did he always does these very experiential things at the conference. So one thing he did was he took out the watch and he said, okay, we're gonna let 10 seconds go by. How long is 10 seconds? And he stood there and he stopped talking, and we waited for 10 seconds to go by. And when you're sitting there waiting and watching for 10 seconds to go by, it's like, oh my God, this is so weird. It feels so strange, and it feels like forever, right? And he's making the point, what can you get done in 10 seconds of stretched time when you're fully present now instead of worrying about everything else? 10 seconds is a really long time. And it's an embarrassingly long time when you're watching a man stand at the front of the room like this with a stopwatch going for 10 seconds. It's really amazing. And it speaks to how you talk about you can do anything for 25 minutes. He makes that point, and that was one of the points that he made in his lecture this year, that the human brain is really designed to only stay focused for 20 minutes at a time. So there's a reason why we start to wander and need breaks. And you can be productive for 20 minutes and take a 5-minute break and come back and be productive again. And make headway and accomplish your goals and be working with how your brain works. So Ed's been saying that for years. He takes 25 minutes, and if he can spend 25 minutes working on something and then he takes 5 minutes of a break, then he can switch to the next topic and he's 25 minutes farther along on the project. And that was his point. So it was a good one. I'm being told it's time to go. So thank you so much for coming, and we'll see you next month. Bye.